Welcome to the first of two info sessions for the fall of 2023 here at MFA Products of Design. So happy that you're joining us. My name is Alan Trochanov. I'm the chair of the program here. And before we start, I wanted to thank Julia Knoll. Thank Julia Knoll and Akshita Bawa and Anastasia Gorsky for their help. They're the staff here at MFA Products of Design. And wanted to thank all of you for joining us this evening. We can promise you a lot of fun, very visual evening. And just a quick look at the agenda so you know what to expect. We're going to show you the space a little bit, talk about the curriculum, and show you some fascinating projects. We're really going to start with specials that are unique to Products of Design, the MoMA partnership, our annual job fair, and a brand new offering, our AI Advanced Seminar Series. Then you're going to meet some alumni, and then we have to take a Zoom pet break because we learned this when we were teaching on Zoom that you got to show your pet. So if you don't have a pet to say hello to us at the break, then maybe a plant or a famous favorite stuffed animal, I'm not sure, but definitely a Zoom pet break. Meet some current students and then talk to all of our students in a little panel and close the evening off with a faculty panel. One note for tonight, keep an eye on the Zoom chat if you'd like to. We'll be pasting links to relevant pages in there. You can ask questions. We will do our best to try to answer, but you can always contact us, and I'm happy to chat with you over email or phone or Zoom. So the space, you can't be here tonight. So we are located in Manhattan, and I think people should always thank their architect, and ours was amazing, Andrea Steele. So thank you, Andrea. This is what people think New York looks like. Or this, speaking of Broadway. This is exactly where we are. We are in Chelsea, in Manhattan. You can find our buildings easily because they have SVA logo flags outside them. The interior of our space, here there are like no people, but usually there are tons of people. And the space was really designed to be incredibly versatile. All of the walls open and close. Most of the furniture is on wheels. And so we can create, here's Debbie Millman giving a guest lecture. Here's Rob Walker teaching over Zoom. Here's Jay, who you're going to meet in just a minute. We have a great library that sort of goes on and on. One of our architectural principles to begin with was to build a kitchen right in the middle of the space and to build the space around the kitchen. We do a lot of work around food and food futures, food resilience, even food design and experience design. And so it's nice that students are making food, they eat a little bit better, and it creates a really, it's a really social space. And maybe some of the alumni and the students can talk about that a little bit more. Oh, there's John and Sovik. Okay. And sometimes students sit on the floor. And they're like, yeah, we don't need space. We're going to sit here. We have a gallery that changes all year, and it's just a really exciting place to be. We have chalkboard paint on the bathroom walls, which I always joke is either a really good idea or a really terrible idea. Sometimes we have to take away the chalk. But again, super homey, tons of natural light. Here's what it looks pretty tidy. And here's what it looks like at the end of a semester. Actually, I have messier pictures in this. I should dig them up. And here's our favorite picture of all, a lamp of lamps. Right next door is our makerspace called the Visible Futures Lab. We actually hold classes in the makerspace. So it's a lot of physical computing, sewing, soldering, Arduino, there's Sovik, lots of 3D printing, samples, and also physical shop. And where the students like really make stuff. We're very prototype heavy in this program. We believe in making, even if that's just making a business model. But we've also found that students are happiest when they're making things with their hands. So that's really central to our mission here. And speaking of mission, you can go to our homepage. Probably you've been here to find out about this event. We do have a mission page, but we also put it right on the homepage. Foundationally, we train multilingual designers, multi-design lingual designers, focusing on physical product design, digital product design, and what is really sort of an integrative product design. We'll talk about that a little bit more around business and social innovation. We don't have grades. We really want the students to develop a collegial relationship with the faculty, and we also want them to take maximum risk. and grades get in the way of both of those things. We optimize being in New York City. Obviously, there's a lot of extraordinary people here and coming through here. And so not only can we get amazing guest lecturers and workshop leaders, but we also have a series where we visit design studios and artist studios and field trips to places like, New York Times and Museum of Modern Art, and lots of independent artists. Our faculty are all working professionals. They all do this for a living, and that helps ensure that we are teaching the term we use is the urgencies of the day. We always encourage our faculty to tell stories if they had a really terrible client meeting that day, typically. We ask them to share with the students, and students are always really, really interested in what's happening out there in the professional world. We design for the Museum of Modern Art. Jay is here to talk to you about that. And everything that we do has a moral center. And actually, if you click on these plus signs on that one, you can see a link to our thesis projects. Our curriculum, again, if you click on the curriculum page on the website, you'll see that we list the first year, the second year, and right in the middle, we have a kind of quote that says, there are so many courses, do I have to choose between them? People remark, like, how can there be so many courses? And actually, you don't have to choose. The program is single track. All students get to take every course. And the way that we accomplish this is by having most of our courses 7 weeks long. We believe that people can learn things faster than most people think that they can. And this allows us to get a lot more learning and a lot more amazing faculty in front of you. But if we break it down, in physical product design, we have many, many courses: Making Studio, 3D product design, MoMA, design performance, interaction intervention, thesis studio, product brand and experience, futuring and three-dimensional product design, and design delight, really a ton. In digital product design, we have design research and integration, affirming artifacts, UX beyond screens, smart objects, video storytelling, thesis studio again, product brand experience again, because they're really both physical and digital. Service entrepreneurship, advanced interactive design practices. Added to both of these is really a robust curriculum in social impact and business. So entrepreneurship for sustainability and resilience, system scale and consequence, behavioral psychology for designers, imagining climate futures, business structures, point of view, leadership and strategic management, practicing professional design for public policy. This is probably getting a little bit overwhelming at this point, right? Community design, which actually started this morning, business modeling. But all of that is words, and we really concentrate on projects. And you can find a lot of our some favorite and some sort of latest project. This is Kathy in the image above. You're going to meet her in a second or in a few minutes. And so you can scroll and click on some favorite and some most recent projects. But I did want to go back and share a few favorites that I don't get to share very much. This is Shumang Mu's Lolly Temp. And so Shumang was doing a project around how much kids hate going to the doctor, particularly when they have a temperature. And so Shumang had imagined a thermometer in the form of a lollipop. And the idea is that this is a candy lollipop with M&Ms around its circumference, and each of the M&Ms has a different melting point. And so it's really funny because there's actually a precedent, at least in this country and in Canada, of giving kids a candy lollipop when they leave the doctor. So this way you're taking the temperature at the same time. This is Smruti Adya's upgrade, a thesis designing for access and acceptability around limb loss and limb difference. This is one of 5 projects that Smruti did, but she was speaking to one of her users, Christina Stevens, who said that at night, sometimes when she has to pee, she will crawl to the bathroom rather than laboriously putting on her prosthetic. And so very, very quickly, Smruti conceived of this idea of a slipper called Swift. And I actually don't need to talk over this next slides. This is Cuddle by Crystal Lowe. I love this project. This was a phone stand that she did as part of a project. She was looking at the alienation of couples who just are on their phones together when they're at home and not at work together. And so she created a phone stand that won't work unless both of you put your phones on it. It won't charge. which I think is funny and brilliant. This is a recent project called 15, Erica, Monica, Sarah, and Kathy, reimagining the testing kit. And so looking at all of the solid waste and just the sort of all the different protocols, and really believe that they could do something simpler. This is from the product brand and experience course that actually wraps up next week. The size of a pen, rapid test, reimagined. I think there's an animation here. Yes. So all in one. Yeah, and then got RSV and flu on there as well. Beautiful packaging as well. Very useful to take a look at our thesis projects, where really this is not comprehensive at all, but research, prototyping, co-creation, making hardcover books and a public presentation. You can find links to all of our thesis projects. I think we'll paste that in the chat. These are, I think, some of our favorites, but you can also view them chronologically. Here's a bookshelf of some of our books. A lot of them have disappeared. I can actually see Silvix there. And this is the public presentation at the SVA Theater. That looks really scary, but maybe our alumni can talk about that. We really help get the students ready for this. They work with a speech coach, Jane Fujita, who works with TV and theater actors and actresses. And this is from last May. An after party, a champagne toast after. And this is what the students look like when they're done. Very excited, very happy. Finally, our lectures, studio visits. You can click on our website. Just an incredible all-star cast of visitors to this department. Typically, these are 40-minute talks and, you know, an endless Q&A, sometimes a workshop as well. Studio visits I talked about, students going to like New Lab at 10x Beta, Google Creative Lab, all sorts of amazing places. And last night in Halloween, I just put this in to the presentation. Students create costumes in in Making Studio with learning how to sew and solder, LEDs, and a little bit of Arduino. And so these are some images from last night. Maybe some of you watched it on TV. I think I've got a couple of videos here. There you go. Kowtow's here tonight. I love the Snoopy's there. Great. So we're going to start with the specials tonight. I will, oh, Che, I just saw this in an email. I thought that this was great. This was an email from last summer, Che's summer soiree. This is actually a great blog post or dedicated email from OMA. I'm going to unshare and take it away, Che. We're so happy that you're here.
I'm thrilled to be here. I don't feel like I'm at a summer soiree right now. It's freezing cold out, but okay. Let's see if I can make this into a slideshow. Fantastic. Well, I'm Che Costello. I'm the Associate Director of Merchandising at the Museum of Modern Art. Thrilled to be with you here tonight. I have worked at MoMA, where I am right now, for over 20 years. And my background is in merchandising, product development, assortment planning, marketing, design, and art research. Maybe some of you have visited MoMA. Maybe you haven't had a chance to yet. MoMA was founded back in 1929. We're dedicated to connecting people with the finest art of their time. If you come to visit MoMA, you will find everything from Vincent van Gogh's 1889 painting of the Starry Night to Unsupervised that's currently on view in our atrium. It's a work by Rafik Anadol, where he taught an AI what art was from all of the digital files of art and design in MoMA's collection. And as you stand in MoMA's lobby, you could see this AI constantly creating art inspired by our collection. MoMA has over 200,000 works in our collection, spanning everything from classic art and design pieces to modern and innovative presentations. I wanted to share with you about MoMA's design heritage because it's very relevant to the work we do together with the Products of Design students at SVA. MoMA was the first museum in the world to have a curatorial department dedicated to modern architecture and design, and was very influential in kind of forming what good design was in the mid 20th century. In 1932, we formed the department, and by the mid 1930s, we had exhibitions like machine art, which really challenged people when they walked into a museum, being accustomed to seeing painting and sculpture, suddenly seeing ball bearings and turbines, but really privileging design as being as important to our cultural heritage as more traditional media like painting and sculpture. Throughout the 1940s, MoMA had useful object exhibitions where they would highlight useful objects for under $10, useful objects in wartime, really trying to provide that service to share with the visiting public what objects were important and could improve their lives. In the 1950s, MoMA had a series of good design exhibitions where they partnered with the Chicago Merchant Mart, and they would look at all of the mass-produced product that was coming into the market that year, and they would pick out the best designed examples of that. And that would be on view at MoMA, and then it would tour department stores. You see in this picture over here, we have Charles and Ray Eames at MoMA working on a good design exhibit before they were the household names they are today. And design is an enduring tradition at MoMA. Now, if you visit MoMA, you might see an exhibition about one of the most important design movements of our time, interface design in video games. Right now, we have an exhibition called Life Cycles, organized by Paola Antonelli, which is really about the way designers can work with technology and the natural world to have less of an impact or even possibly mend the environment. MoMA Design Store very much operates in that tradition. We're honoring the iconic good design past, but also we're dedicated to being a showcase and a platform for the most impactful artists and design movements of our time. Here you see our 53rd Street Design Store, and this is our museum store in the building. We also have a Soho store downtown at Crosby and Spring Street, which is kind of like our neighborhood spot. We review all of the products that we bring into our store with MoMA's curators, the same curators who are organizing exhibitions and bring objects into the collection. And every purchase from MoMA Design Store supports the museum's programs, our educational programs, our conservation. So it's really meaningful to a lot of folks to not only be able to experience art design in our store, but to know that they're supporting the museum at the same time. Here's our design store, our Soho store, our museum store, and then we have several flagship stores in Japan and Hong Kong and a shop in shop in Berlin. So a little bit of a global outreach there. MoMA gets 3 million visitors every year. We have 125,000 members. Our stores get 2 million visitors every year. And every month, store.moma.org, our website, gets 140,000. And that goes up in November and December because we're a big gifting destination, as you could imagine. We're dedicated to democratizing good design. If you walk into our store, we're committed to making sure you find something that excites and delights you that you could afford, that improve your everyday life. We have collaborated with brands over the years, from Lego to Uniqlo to Vans to New Era, and that collaboration, we're selective, but it's definitely an ongoing commitment. Now, what is wholesale? How does that differ than everything I was just talking about? Wholesale are products that we make ourselves under the MoMA brand. We sell them in our stores, but we also sell them to other retailers. You can find them in Nordstrom's or other museum stores, design stores, boutiques. This is an example of our latest catalog. These are some George Soden lamps that we distribute for them. And these are examples of some of the products that are made under the MoMA brand and which we sell in our stores and wholesale. The reason why we started collaborating with SVA and the Products of Design students was we were really looking for a pipeline of fresh, new design thinking and designers to work with. So we meet with the students every year, and we have a different design challenge. And we launch, this is an image of my colleague and I launching the design challenge. Then we have the exciting process of checking back in with students, looking at drawings, prototypes, giving feedback. And then there's the wonderful moment of the final reveal where we get the final products with the product copy. But really, the process is invaluable to us. We truly enjoy the interaction with the students. It's one of the favorite projects that we work on every year, not only because obviously the benefits of finding new products for us to manufacture, but the opportunity to watch the students process and to engage in a dialogue about their design thinking is mutually beneficial and valuable. Here's some images about 5 years into our collaboration. We had a critical mass of products. So we had a huge feature and pop-up. The students took over our store windows. Here they are at the party that we had to celebrate. Here's an image of one of our wholesale catalogs where we had whole spreads where we talked about our collaboration. And it's very meaningful to our customers and partners to understand that we are working closely with students and that this process is about opportunity, but also showcasing really innovative thinking. So here are the products so far that we've had over the years, with more to come. I certainly hope everything from the Fenestra bookcase. This is the Multicino. It's a borosilicate cup that gives you the ingredients to make your own coffee. This is a Tic Tac you could play, or you could also use it as a trivet or coasters. I'm excited about these in the bottom because these are the newest designs. We just launched Giancarlo Cipri's sliding perpetual calendar. I think that he's here and he'll maybe be speaking to you later, so he could talk to you about that experience. But we also have the Duchdale tumbling tower that's about to be launched. So all of this is to say, it's been an incredibly enduring partnership, a valuable one. Many of these products we've carried year after year. We find several products every year. It's a very high rate of finding great things. We work with a lot of different designers and travel lots of places. It's been the most fruitful opportunity we have to connect with designers and really have folks working on new ideas for us. We have learned so much from the collaboration, and we can't wait to find out what we're going to discover together next.
Jay, thank you so much. That was really, really wonderful, and can't wait to get this year's project underway. The MoMA collaboration, the partnership is always faculty led by Sinclair Smith, who is here. Maybe you can wave, and Sinclair is going to join us later a little bit or participate in the faculty panel. So maybe you can talk a little bit
Hi,
about
I have
that.
no hand.
There you go. Another extraordinarily unique thing that we do at Products of Design is an annual job fair, and we are so lucky to have Megan Ford talk about that. And Megan is one of our faculty, but she's also been here as part of Argo Design and always sends Argo people here. Thank you for sharing your time and evening here, Megan. Thanks.
All right, can you guys hear me okay? All right. Hi, everyone. Megan Ford here. I am head of programs at Argo Design in New York. We're a product design firm where I lead accounts and programs for a wide variety of consumer and enterprise clients. As a faculty member here, and I can't believe I'm going on 5 years, I teach a course called Leadership and Strategic Management to the second-year students. But we'll get into the meat of that during the panel. Enough about me. I'm here and very honored because Alan asked me to present one of what I would consider the highlights of POD, and that is the job fair that the department organizes every year. So what POD does is it sets up a job fair using a matchmaking format to connect organizations with current students. The job fair takes over the entire department, the entire floor, and invites a wide variety of different types of companies, firms, headhunters, recruiters, venture capitalists to meet with students. It's set up like speed dating, which sounds a little weird, but it's actually great. What it does is it gives students the opportunity to select the top 10 organizations that they might want to meet with. Most importantly, it helps students with anxiety as they go into the interviewing process before they're graduating. And it's a lot of fun. I've actually been able to participate myself on the hiring end. Very serious conversation happening here. So with the job fair, students get to practice their interviewing skills and present their portfolios. What's great is they get direct feedback on their portfolios, and they build a network of design professionals. This is critical, right, to start building relationships that can lead to summer internships, jobs following graduation, and just building a network of design folks in the industry. Here is one of POD's inaugural students, Catherine Marinero. She actually is one of my colleagues at Argo, but she came back to the job fair looking to hire when she was at IBM. Really coming full circle. All right. And the big highlight of the job fair, the guacamole carts. This in-person event is great for networking, great for building your portfolio, but most importantly, for enjoying guacamole. And a bonus is after the job fair, it turns into a social event where people stick around and mingle and meet each other. Super social event. It's a great way to give students exposure to tons of people in the industry who are looking to hire, right? So here's some of the organizations who have attended in the past. What's great is Alan's always looking to add to this list, so students are encouraged to make suggestions. And it's overall, it's a really effective and a really fun part of POD. I think I've covered everything and I'm at time, but I'll be back for the panel to talk about my class. All right, thanks
so
guys.
much. Thanks so much, Megan. Yeah, it's interesting. Even companies like we'll contact them and say, hey, you were here last year. Do you want to come back? And they'll say, well, we're not hiring right now, but we'd like to come back because it was great to meet students for when we are hiring. And to tell you the truth, I really love giving feedback. The other nice thing about this is that students do it twice. They do it the first year when they're sometimes looking for summer internships. I mean, sometimes in the summer, they just have to like sleep and not do design. But the second year students are very serious. So it's the second time that they're doing it. So they're like super practiced up and they really have a good idea of what works very quickly in like a 15-minute speed date. So we found that to be very, very, very effective. We're going to go to another special. So obviously, AI has been a huge question and opportunity and sometimes a worry for educators around the world. Lots of meetings last year and over the summer of what to do. Our stance is around opportunity and transparency. And we realized that there was no way that we could bring in sort of, one teacher to do one course. So instead, we put together a series of advanced seminars where we would bring in people from around the world who were expert in various sort of lenses around artificial intelligence, lenses around ethics, around tools, around ventures, right? All the companies, I don't know, 2,000 companies were started, since 1 o'clock today, AI startups, and around experiments. And so we're so lucky to have Martina Nadal, who with her partner Pau, did the first of these AI seminars just a few weeks ago, and feel really lucky that you're coming back. You're joining us from Barcelona, so thank you. It's midnight now, midnight after 2, so totally dedicated and very generous. So I'll turn it over to Martina. Thanks for coming and talking a little bit about the workshop and your experience with the students.
Great. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm gonna try to share my screen quickly. Let me know if you can all see it properly. Otherwise, I think it should be fine, right?
Perfect.
So, as Alan was saying, my name is Martina Nadal. I work as an operations director and head of social impact at Domestic Data Streamers, and I'm a partner as well. Domestic Data Streamers is a creative studio based in Barcelona, but we've been working in over like 48 countries now, I think, and we're basically a team of 25 artists, designers, coders, journalists, data scientists that constantly mingle around and try to improve any idea, basically on trying to communicate data in different ways to make people kind of understand realities behind the numbers. So we started within the cultural sphere, doing like installations and exhibitions, speaking about different social topics such as the water, the inequality, violence, and different realities. And we always try to look for new ways and new data languages to communicate social challenges such as child marriage. That's what you're seeing right now, or this is like one of our latest installations in a digital impact exhibition, speaking about Wikipedia edits in real time and mapping them in a new cartography, let's say. Also doing campaigns and different sort of awareness raising actions in the digital realm and in the physical one. So only for you to have a bit of a background of what Domestic is and what we do. And basically, I'm going to share with you a bit of the presentation that we did a couple of 3 weeks ago in New York, thanks to the invitation of the team. Basically, we started doing a first AI introduction, and we shared our first experiments and what we learned through them over the last 2 years when we started our AI program. So we just visited the students and we did these introductions, basically giving them a bit of a theoretical walk through the different schools of thought behind AI right now, and all the sort of opinions we can find between the technophobic and then the technophilic voices that are being kind of more prominent right now. We then also gave a bit of a walk through the technicalities to make people understand what is it that's behind AI, how it works, to be able to encode it. We also spoke about biases a bit, which have been the main improvements in the biases, but also how to understand and tackle the biases challenges. And we also looked at some of the current possibilities in terms of AI in generative images. The second part of the workshop was more about presenting our work, and we basically presented the main challenges we detected in AI today and how we can approach them critically through creative skills, let's say. We presented a few of our projects, such as this modified plugin to do fact-checking on different media outlets and news to give multiple perspectives on any information that we consume. We also presented a model that we are working on, which is an automatic system that publishes a tweet every time a politician sleeps. So basically through AI, we are monitoring 36 different countries, cameras in parliaments, and we can publish automatic tweets pointing out the politicians who are falling asleep. Then we also presented a model that we generated to convey the stories of thousands of domestic violence testimonials in a fictional probabilistic character and stories. So both images and texts are generated out of data that we compiled of these personal stories, but turning them into something anonymous. And we also presented a project that's basically one of our main projects called Synthetic Memories, that recreates visual memories of elder population. After these, we got into a more hands-on part where we basically help students to recreate their personal memories, following up with our Synthetic Memories project. Here are some of the results of people speaking about memories with their parents, and obviously with very diverse settings. We also gave them all our dictionaries on how to prompt as masters. And then we got into a more collective creation moment where we basically introduced an input, which was different scenarios which are very plausible in 2080, such as Amazon forest deforestation or different scenarios on aging population and so on. And people recreated, like the briefing was to create festivities out of these that could be like fictional festivities for these potential futures. So for example, one of them was the wheelchair race, a tradition where the elderly from Japan race with their wheelchairs through the public streets, and they created these images with DALI and Midjourney, different like models. Then we also got like the end of Middle East wars recreations. We also got the end of Fossil Fuels Festival, a festivity fueled fully with renewable energies, and many others, but that's a bit of a glimpse, not to take more time. Well, questions welcome.
I actually just wanted to ask you, Martina, if you can say a little bit more about the Synthetic Memories project, because I think that was really the project that drew us to the two of you and to your group.
Absolutely. So actually, like like this project is what you can see here. But right now, this is a project we started when we kind of saw that when we were working with refugee communities, we realized about the importance of the visual memories that get lost in certain communities. And then we started experimenting with elder population in Spain and with nurse homes on which could be the effect of recreating memories of elder population who are in process of dementia or Alzheimer. So basically what we did was developing a methodology and a series of prompt books to interview these people and recreate their memories through these techniques. So what you see here, for example, is the memory of Maria, who was this interviewed woman that you were seeing. Then she was telling us, for example, how her first memory was going into the balcony of an unknown family because his father during civil war in Spain was in jail, and they used to rent the balcony of someone to have some visual contact because the apartment was right in front of the jail. And we basically started reconstructing all these sort of memories from people who are in this process of losing the connection. And we are studying right now in collaboration with other people how this can be linked with reminiscence therapies to see if there can be indeed a proven impact on how this helps them to keep like a stronger connection with their memories and therefore diminish the dementia process.
Amazing. Thank you. We put a link to Domestic Streamers in the chat so you can learn more about this group from there. Thanks, Martina. So we're going to now meet some alumni. Sobit Paul, Kathy Tung, John Lung, and Giancarlo Cipri. I think probably this order is great. So I'll unshare. And Sobit, if you want to start us off, please, welcome.
Sure thing. Sorry. Sure thing. Can everyone hear me okay? And see my screen? Awesome. Well, thanks for having me back here, Alan. Hi, everyone. My name is Sobit Paul. I'm the CEO and founder of an early stage medical device company called Ori. I will describe all about what Ori does, but first I wanted to share a bit about my journey getting to products of design. So after I graduated from undergrad, I was living in New York City as a trader on, not quite in Wall Street, actually in Midtown, but working for JP Morgan and working 11-hour workdays, spending 55 to 60 hours a week at work. And I came to realize that I was literally spending most of my life at work. And so the question that constantly came to the top of my mind is, should I really be spending most of my life doing this? And the kind of corollary question to that idea was, could I help leave the world in a better state than I found it in? Because I was, in my early 20s and super idealistic. And at around that time, the iPhone had been out for 5 years. There were lots of retrospectives about how this piece of technology really changed the world and the nature of how people interact with the internet. And to me, this was kind of like the exemplary example of how design could take existing technologies and repackage them in ways to create societal change. And that's really what motivated me to pursue industrial design and product design in graduate school. And so while I was at Products of Design, a lot of my projects actually focused on this notion of social change. In Alan's class, Affirming Artifacts, in redesigning a milkshake container, I created a third place based voting system that would allow people to learn about different candidates in local and national elections and to vote via texting in order to increase voter turnout. In design research, I partnered with John, who's also going to be chatting later, and Long Hong to create a financial system where people could use credit card points to donate to people in their community towards specific projects where the people that they were donating to were making minimum wage as a way to help jumpstart their savings. I partnered with my classmates Natsuki and Adem to create a product brand and experience around denim head culture, specifically around the rituals of washing and maintaining raw denim. But as I was working on these projects, kind of in the background of all of this, one of my close friends, who is now my sister-in-law, she was going through her own journey. She was injured in a car accident and sustained a spinal cord injury. And her accident actually happened 2 weeks before I started at Products of Design. And so there were moments in the hospital with her and her family where I really questioned, should I even go to grad school at all? And I ended up deciding to go to Products of Design, obviously, but I did so with this kind of sense of determination. I thought, if design could change lives, then this is a specific instance. Karina is a specific person that needs to be able to help. And so for my graduate thesis, I really focused on spinal cord injury and learning everything I could about the diagnosis, treatment, and evolution of spinal cord injury. And there are lots of different product ideas and experiences and apps that I designed, but I really ended up focusing on catheters. So catheters are used by individuals with spinal cord injuries to urinate. They'll use 4 to 6 of them every day. And they cause a lot of infections. And these infections are a leading cause of death for people living with spinal cord injuries. And at one point in my thesis journey, I was talking to Karina, and she literally asked me, if you could design something that would help me reuse my catheters, that would change my life. And so I ended up designing this product that I called Clean Cath at the time, that used UV light to sterilize catheters between uses to help reduce infection risk. And I graduated from Products of Design, and I think one of my line or list of questions evolved. And so I had created this thesis. I had all of these ideas, and I became obsessed with this notion of what does it take to turn an idea into a real product. And so during my day job, I was exploring that at Johnson & Johnson Design. So this was a job that I got through Design Match, partially because my thesis was so healthcare oriented. And working at Johnson & Johnson in the design group was really eye-opening, because I got to see how a Fortune 50 company used design as a methodology to create new services and products, sometimes services and products that would reach millions, if not billions of people. But I was also fortunate in that SVA had launched the Ground Floor Incubator, which Sinclair ran, that really focused on helping recent graduates take their ideas from their thesis and start to build business models around them. And so while I was at Johnson & Johnson for my day job, I was moonlighting at the Ground Floor Incubator. And I ended up leaving J&J in 2018 to start Ori, which is the medical device startup that I created. It's basically the same exact thing that my thesis was about. It's different in a few subtle ways, but I'm basically still working on my thesis after, I guess, close to 8 years post-graduation. We now have a full-time team of 4 individuals. My co-founder is a doctor, so he's part-time. We recently hosted our lead investor, who is a venture capitalist, in our partner facilities in Beverly, Massachusetts, to show him prototypes and things like that. The design of the product has changed a lot. And there have been a ton of challenges, but I'm also really lucky in that I get to spend my days really trying to answer that question of what does it take to make an idea into a real product. The answer is it's a lot. But that's it for me. I'll stop sharing and I'll hand things off to the next alumnus.
Thanks so much, Sobek. And this is fast track, you said, through the NIH and coming out this year?
We have a special FDA designation called the Safer Technologies designation, and so we're planning to submit early next year and be in market by the end of next year.
Amazing. And Julia's pasting links in there. And you finished your third round of funding?
Finished our third round of funding. We just redesigned our website, actually, with the help of Rachel, who is also on this call. So it's a small
All right.
world. Yeah, we've
know that.
raised a bunch of VC funding. We've also gotten a bunch of grants from different federal agencies. So it's been a
All right.
journey.
He's humble with the bunch of. Maybe you can type the number into the chat secretly. Thanks, Sovik. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Alan. Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy. I'm graduate this May. So for today, I'm going to share 3 parts about myself, and then I will show the school project where it's like more about my thesis, and then finally we'll talk about my current life. So before I joined POD, I actually work as a product manager and also strategist in basically more like design agency and design consultancy. And during that time, I work a lot with different designer. So I do a lot of like stakeholder communication, workshop facilitation, and also as a PM, I need to like prioritize different resources. And that's a aha moment for me, like feel like, oh, I'm really interested in design. So that's made me to pursue my MFA degree in POD in 2021. And luckily, I get my summer internship at Code and Theory, where it's a digital first and strategy-driven design agency in your office. I actually got this opportunity in our job fair. So far, I do have over 3 years of experience as a product designer. And nowadays, I focus a lot on like interdisciplinary collaboration, do a lot of like digital prototype and testing, and starting to focus a lot on design details. So far, I've collaborated with different industry and clients, including technology, mobility, entertainment, education, etc. And the next slide, I will talk about some school projects. So this is one of the most exciting one is I designed for my thesis, where I create immersive mobile experience for students to explore the more engaged learning experience in our museum. So a little bit about the background is during COVID-19, actually we'll see a lot of schools get the budget cut, and most of the time I will get cut in the first place. So in my thesis, I'm starting to think about what if we see museum as a location-based learning to help students to engage more in art and also have an opportunity to really leverage the interdisciplinary learning experience. So this is a whole journey about the my experience. It's starting from entering into the museum, and parents can download the app and support their children to complete the onboarding process. Then children choose their own journey. Then each journey will have 3 different tasks. So children can customize their own character by selecting different interests. Their journey will be personalized accordingly. And children can pick up one role-play adventure, such as zookeeper, chef, musician. Let's imagine the user select journey being a zookeeper. So the task including first capture an animal, second find food for it, and lastly find a place for it. I will use MoMA as an example to demonstrate how it works. So in the task 1, capturing an animal, a user can use a map to navigate specific artwork, and using AI technology scan the painting unlock experience and transform.
Hi, Sophia. My name is the American Robin. I am lost in a place called The Dream from 1910. Here are some fruits that I like.
I'm integrating the conversation element so user can become more involved into the game. After capturing the bird, the backend system will use this data to generate second task and also the third task, where it helps students to get more opportunity to learn the different concept and also have the adventure in the museum. And this is how it looks in the end. Luckily, that journey helped me to create an extra journey where it's help the student to observe more. This come up the second product I designed for my thesis. The Play Art Viewer is an interactive tool designed for young children to explore the artwork from different perspectives, helping them to create observation skill and also curiosity. So I actually be inspired by Frankly Speculoos. This design, you will see two turning wheel. The first one is about color, and the second one, it's the shape. So it helps students to see through the art from different perspectives. I experimented in MoMA, and then you will see how it's work interact with the motion graphic. And I quick prototype around 20 tools and then have a workshop in Brooklyn Museum to test with kids, and luckily get some like good feedback. And this year I was selected into Author's competition of the Global Design Graduate Show 2023. And then that's all about my school life. And currently I'm working as a product designer at Vanilla. It's a fintech startup. So it's focused a lot on UX UI design and also some design system. And I do have a lot of opportunity to collaborate with product manager and also engineer. I do also be guest lecturer at NYU recently to show some of the design thinking and also prototype and testing methodology with the students. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. And you love teaching, right?
Yes, I do love education.
Yeah. Thank you again for letting us put your project on our department homepage. So now you have a face behind the project. John, do you want to share your screen? I think you might be muted.
Wow, I've never accidentally muted myself before. Okay, can you all hear me? Yes?
This is the picture I needed to show at the end of thesis.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a celebration. But yeah, so I am a third generation graduate of products of design. And there I am. Here we go. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, and that's me and my very awesome group of classmates. Thanks for coming tonight. I always really love open house at POD because that's where my journey started. This place really accelerated me down the path that I'm on right now in life. And, you know, I've always been encouraged to dig deeper and find what I'm passionate about. And thanks to the program, given a bunch of different tools and methodologies to explore those ideas and to grow them. So yeah, I mean, like earlier on in my life at POD, I was building a lot of like fun, weird, mechanized stuff like this kind of puppeted mech suit or this biomimicry suit. And also given a lot of tools like, for example, video storytelling, which ended up becoming one of my most used and primary skills as a professional designer. And it's kind of funny when you do a retrospective on your work, you can very easily kind of chart your journey along all of it versus like when you're in the trenches, as they say, you're kind of like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but it's always fun to do retrospective and be like, oh yeah, of course, like all of these projects and all the things I like kind of all make sense in hindsight, right? 2020. But yeah, so as I was working towards my thesis, which many other people have talked about, my love for problem solving kind of evolved into a theme of preparedness and all the tools around it. So here's an example of a project I worked on for the product brand and experiences class with my classmate Chelsea and Zhiyuan Qi, where we made a fire piston that basically uses the rapid compression of air, which heats up very quickly to ignite a piece of tinder. And basically this program has always been very encouraging and you know, they want you to do whatever you have to do to get the most out of what you're working on. And in this case, it was starting a fire in a classroom. But, you know, I think actually like this one might have been more like a do first and ask for forgiveness later type project. But no worries, you know, we had a fire extinguisher, a big bucket of water, a big old fan to suck all the smoke out. Obviously, no one was harmed in the making of this. I don't know if Alan ever knew we started a fire in a classroom. I'll have to ask you.
No, I think that faculty should start this course off by showing this video in the future, though. It's like here's where the bar is.
I was like, I don't know if we ever told anyone about that, but yeah. So yeah, there it is. And then towards the end of my thesis journey, that kind of process shifted from the tools of preparedness, more of like the mindset, kind of like, oh, how can you best solve the problem at hand with the tools you have immediately at hand? And that's how this was born. This is a little event I called BAMF Academy. It was for our Design Delight class with Emily Baltz. And essentially it was a game show where you try to retrieve a random object from beyond this mock sewer grate. You can kind of see this stage we set up here, using only mundane objects like gum and newspaper and stuff to kind of pick up different size objects. So we have sunglasses here. We have a $50 bill there. And you can see that all the objects have different shapes and sizes and weights. So, you know, the approach is always different. And it was really cool to see live, like how people were solving these problems. Very MacGruber or MacGyver, you know, whatever your preference is. And it's funny too, because all this stuff, I see you'll recognize Alan there, even with his blonde locks. All this stuff kind of basically culminated into this. This is a TV show called Mythbusters, which ran for about 14 years. It's a science show based on testing urban myths and wives' tales and common beliefs and like seeing if they actually hold any water. And so basically right when I was finishing the program, these two, Adam and Jamie, retired. And turns out Discovery was like putting out an open casting call, like, oh, we want to do something with this license, like sign up. And so I called my friend Josh Korn, who's the year below us, and he basically rode his bike up from Chinatown and then helped me shoot this reel. And then the next thing I knew, I was competing in a reality TV show for a new job. So super, like a very crazy series of events. But yeah, and then soon enough was lucky enough to find myself as one of the hosts of, they did a new season of Mythbusters. Yeah, and so this is just an example of that work. I guess is a good question to ask. This myth was, if you were to put your feet on a dashboard, could you potentially turn a 30-mile-per-hour, typically non-lethal car accident into a lethal one? And the result is no, you won't die, but you definitely won't like the results of that. So you can see like the car was hit, her foot kind of detached from the rest of the leg. And yeah, we found out like, I think maybe a week or two after this episode aired that this actually happened to a lady who put her feet on the dash, and there was a news article and it did the same exact thing. It kind of, in the cleanest terms possible, it detached, I mean, just look at the GIF. It detached her foot from the leg, kind of just like that. So long story short, don't put your feet on the dash. It's kind of rude and also apparently very dangerous. And then after that, I worked at Google X, which is now called X. It is a kind of research and development company that's under the Alphabet umbrella that really focuses on using cutting edge technology to help better people's lives. And it's kind of funny because I can't talk about most of the things I worked on because until they release it, everything's very like hush hush, and we all know our devices are always listening to us. So let's not run that risk. But there is one project that did come out since then, which I can talk about. I got to work on this project they call Mineral. It's a very cool AI-powered a fleet of farming robots. And they're basically like helping determine the health of crops and kind of basically find the most sustainable and most efficient way to grow crops. These things are beautiful. They're actually, I don't know if you can see in the scale, but they're huge. And I just walking to a garage full of these things was always like very breathtaking, very beautiful. And then after Google X, I am currently working at a company called IDEO, where I'm part of a toy design team that is underneath the larger umbrella of IDEO as a whole. And yeah, and this is a really great example of something I can share because it's kind of funny going from Google X to IDEO. I went from one very secretive invention company to another very secretive invention company, but they're on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But this is, again, something I can show. It's the Buzz Lightyear collapsible HQ. And it's cool because this shows the process of like invention. Basically, you can see this foam core model I built. This is a specific and very special example because I actually just built that model out of foam core, rubber bands, and hot glue. But it was enough to kind of convey the mechanism, convey the play pattern. And we just sent that foam core model to Mattel and they did their magic. They added the details, you know, putting all the styling in. But yeah, hopefully if I come back next year, all this stuff that's in the pipeline now will be out and it won't just be like one of this and one of that, but I can share a lot more stuff. But yeah, so that is my journey from products of design all the way to right now where I'm sitting at my dining room table. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Now we have to have you back next year so we can see the new products. I think you,
Yeah.
I think you undersold the Mythbusters story, actually. So the two Mythbusters retired. They were looking for two new Mythbusters and figured they should create a reality game show to find the next two. So it was a series of challenges over 12 or 14 episodes. And then John like wins the thing with another cast member.
Right.
And I think that they called you cast members even. And of course, John filmed his application video the night before it was due, which is what designers do.
Yeah.
Been in our department, so we're super proud. Thank you so much. So G.
Yep, let me just share my screen. So can everyone see my screen? Cool, okay. It might be, wait, is it in presenter mode? Can you see like just the screen, or does it show like both slides?
We see your slides. Maybe
Hit play.
play.
Yeah, no, I did.
We don't see your notes.
Yeah, it should be. No, I for some reason I'm showing like two screens. Is it good now?
Maybe it's good enough.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm
We can see
Giancarlo
the index
Cipri.
screens, but we'll keep concentrated on the surprise in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm Giancarlo Cipri, artist and designer, and I just graduated POD last May. So yeah, this is me. If you want to get in contact at all, you can find me at GreatestG on Instagram. And before POD, I was born and raised in New York City, still in New York City, and most specifically Astoria. We're known for a bunch of things, but some of my favorites are the Noguchi Museum, which we go to as a studio visit at POD.
I'm sorry, G, I'm gonna jump in because your slides are not advancing in case they're supposed to be.
Yeah, one second. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let
We'll
me,
fix it in post.
yeah, it should be good now.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just jump back there. So like I said, I'm from Astoria, and we're known for three things: Noguchi, which we go to, and it's a great studio visit as a part of the first year POD curriculum. Then, Kaufman Studios and Museum of Moving Image. So from a young age, I was, interested into the world of art and design, but I never really jumped into it formally, as up until my undergraduate studies, I was studying finance and philosophy. So I never really, took on to design as something that I could do in school. But then I visited POD, spoke to Alan, and was really sold by the program, its philosophy, and most specifically the VFL. The VFL, now run by Sinclair, is a great place. And I spent a lot of time in there doing everything from making the electronics for my Halloween lightsaber, 3 years ago with Arduino, to printing digitally on t-shirts almost every day with the digital garment printer, or, printing probably the biggest vinyl ever printed at POD, about 4 by 12 feet for a fashion show. So really everything you need to do, you can do at the VFL. And I really loved it that I was able to hone in on making in a bunch of different disciplines at POD. And my time at POD was busy, to say the least. With all the classes, you learn a lot, but then most specifically, we're really told to prototype and make things. So I'm going to show you guys a few projects, everything big, small, physical, and digital. Starting with some explorative products, my thesis semester, the first one of the second year, where I made this stash novel that I called Take and Tag, where it is closed a book, a discrete book that, no one would really take notice to when you're holding it. But then when you open it up, you have a stencil on the face and binding, and a place to hold cans to spray paint discreetly, close it up, and continue walking. Then I also dabbled a bit in the world of accessories and leather goods. Here I made a fortune fold wallet and a mail courier bag, which is, representative of the USPS postal bins, and ones that I'm actually producing within the coming months for mass marketing to be sold, not only in my own avenues, but also other retailers within the United States. First, To one of my favorite projects probably, and this one was called Great, a play on hostile architecture. And this is one that, you know, is something that was pretty dear to me, as I love the world of chairs, furniture, and the built environment. So outside of my subway stop, there are these, sorry, objects that look like lounge chairs, but they're not. So I decided to basically recreate these aluminum structures with similar utilitarian purposes for air ventilation, but still making it comfortable for people to sit on. Then to also doing one of my largest projects, which is called Collective Mind, that started digitally. It is a running mood board of juxtapositions for different photos across various disciplines that I also made a printed book. And then finally, our Products of Design book. You know, this is great, as I think John just recently said, or someone else said, when you look at your work retrospectively, it really, you know, it amplifies the work itself. So really, you know, this is something that I am really glad that Alan makes us do at Products of Design, and it's making your final thesis a book. And it's something that we spend a whole semester on. It's really a lot of work, a lot of writing, and a lot of production, but in the end, it's great. And then finally, now, as we spoke about before, we have the MoMA collaboration. And luckily, I was one that got a product that was picked. I designed the sliding perpetual calendar about 2.5 years ago, and I really ran with it. It was something that I spent a lot of time doing, especially because the VFL has some great laser cutters, and I was able to simply engineer a track and way for, you know, someone to playfully change the date every day. And when MoMA came, you know, we had a nice production where we had all of our goods on the tables, just as the MoMA store has. We went up, spoke to them about it, and this was my product. Basically, from conception to full production, it's been the same. And I even made a large one that's about 4 sizes the time of the one available in stores. And then aside from POD, I do some fashion. Here you can see one of the most notable models we had was Flava Flav. That was a fun time, just making everything from garments to clocks, and in this set, a bar for, you know, our sponsors to place some drinks in. And then now I'm solo. I do a lot of brand collaborations and solo products through my own ambient name, Push and Pull. It's something that I've been working on for a while now, and I will continue. And this is just like the past week, you know, making a mirror table, a bit of a display case, and then one of my favorites, a graffiti table. So yeah, thank you. That's me in a nutshell from before POD, during, and after.
Thanks, G. And Julia pasted a link to the MoMA store where you can now purchase one of these calendars. All right, so promised you a pet break. So if you could turn on, I'll stop sharing. If you could turn on your cameras and share your pets, your plants. You have to take a break on Zoom. So we could also take a group photo here if everyone could turn on their videos if they're comfortable doing that. That would be great. Well, I see 2 plants. No pets?
I had my kid on here earlier. Does that count?
Oh yeah, bring that kid back.
He's in bed now.
Laptop? Really? No pets? Oh my goodness.
I love the CeraVe.
What's
Whoever's
that?
holding someone's holding a bottle of
Wait,
CeraVe.
I have my dog here.
All right. What's
Fix
that dog's name?
Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
Chuck, can you shake? Shake for the class. Shake. Good boy.
Wow. Just showing off for the Zoom.
I know.
Bradley, is that a picture of a dog?
This is the picture of the family dog I left behind in Southern California when moving to New York. So the closest I got.
And Kiana is wrestling a cat, I think. Oh, Chrissy's got a dog. There we go. Big dog. All right, well, thanks, everybody. I guess you could just stretch for a second. Let us continue. We've got two current students who are gonna, in some sense, talk about like the first 7 or 8 weeks here, and then the first or 7 or 8 weeks of the second year. And so we have Tao Tao and then Rohita. Tao Tao, you want to share your screen?
Yes, there we go. One sec. Let me plus that. All right. Hi everyone. My name is Tao Tao Holmes, and this is a little bit about me. I don't like conventional bios, and I don't have a thing for conventional career paths, which leads me to POD. If you're not reading and just listening, I'm about 10 years out of college after studying like English, international relations, doing some work in media, being involved in starting a travel department at a place called Atlas Obscura. One of my friends and former colleagues, Paisley's actually at this info session. And then it was during the pandemic really that I recognized I really wanted to invest in sort of a creative direction very intentionally. And I had interest in illustration, design, making physical things, but I wasn't ready to specialize, and I don't know if I ever will be. And I came across the Products of Design program, and it was such like a breadth of all these topics I was really, really interested in. And it was like, wow, if I could have come up with it myself, I think this is what it would look like. So just a little bit of what your first 8 weeks might look like. This is from Sinclair's class. And I think something I've really enjoyed specifically with our first stretch has been a focus on physical. This class is completely off screen, which is such a blessing after many years of fully remote work. So really like re-engaging with your physical self relation to other physical objects, and how all of these like form, direction, makes you feel, right? So grounding in that physical space, which has been lacking in so many other areas of my life. So there's some of the compositions we created and some of my classmates working on their various compositions. This is class where we go through and we talk about what we've created and why we like it or why we don't, and bringing in some of the things we've been learning to discuss that. And there's lots more here, but it turns into a product. This is us in the Visual Futures Lab, which a few folks have mentioned learning to solder, which is a skill I definitely didn't have. This is Becky in our making studio. And also something I did know I liked going into this program was drawing and sort of visual design. So we get to do a lot of sketching, of course, as we're thinking through ideas, brainstorming, building new things. So these are just a couple videos from the VFL getting to learn to use new tools, the bandsaw, the sound's gonna go on and mute that. But this for me was just like kid in a candy shop. I have for such a long time wanted to improve my ability to make physical things and use physical tools, especially in an increasingly digital world. So this part is really important to me and was not an element of my undergraduate education at all. So this feels like very nourishing of like my entire interests. I lived in New York for almost 5 years during my first stint here. And with this program, it's been seeing a totally new side of the city. This is Canal Plastics, the hardware store on the corner, Canal Rubber, where we're going in and we're thinking what materials can we use for this new project, for this new costume, whatever it might be. And I've really enjoyed that. Around the corner from the studio is also Complete Sculptor. And when I went there, they were like on the phone with SNL, who they supply their special effects. So it's just like, that was a fun New York City moment. Wouldn't be design school without Post-its on the wall. So I'm including that photo. That's my classmate Emma, and also something she made in Sinclair's class that evolved from some of those earlier very abstract sculptures, which he told to keep on hand for MoMA potentially. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about my classmates. I came from a non-design background. I could draw, but that's about where it ended. We have folks who are really talented visual and brand designers. These are some apps people whipped together last week for Alan's class. This is another classmate's drawing skills, which are just insane. Just totally blows us away every time. We have folks who are masters at CAD and Rhino and all that jazz. And I just have so much to learn from everyone, which is very humbling. Another highlight from class, these are plush nightlights we made in the making studio class, which were a lot of fun. And just overall, what I was drawn to and what I'm continuing to really enjoy is the spirit of like innovation, invention, collaboration that we have in every class. It's such a like laboratory for new ideas and new approaches and new concepts. And it just keeps our brains tickled. So a few things after your first 2 months, you'll learn to use a lot of new tools, with many more tools to go. Improved your aptitude with lots of digital programs as well, techniques like approaches to tackling new problems and coming up with solutions. And then just like I have existed in creative spaces, but this is a uniquely creative space, and getting to really push your creative abilities every day is such a treat. As well as like, of course, I didn't come from the design world. So even being on this call and hearing the other alums talk about what they're doing is really exciting because I didn't necessarily know those were things that existed, and now I do. So I've definitely been exposed to all sorts of new industries, career paths, all of that. And then, of course, you get to make a bunch of super creative friends along the way. So yeah, that's just a little glimpse for my first 2 months. This is a little 2-person microphone that evolved out of Sinclair's class, but that's my email. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or just want to chat. I'd be more than happy to. All right, I think Rohit is next. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Tao. Actually, on the question of email, Julia was just messaging me that we have a bunch of guests tonight, amazing, but who actually didn't RSVP through the Eventbrite. So we're so happy that you found us, but we would like to be able to reach you and send you a thank you note and sort of keep up to date. So if you wouldn't mind direct messaging Julia just in the Zoom chat as we keep moving, that would be great. So thanks, everyone. Rohita.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Rohita, and I'm a second-year international student from India. I will give you a glimpse of what second year looks like and how it has been 2 months in for us. So, oops. So typically we take 7 courses in the first semester of the second year, and I like to break it out into 4 different buckets. Which are practicing projects, design for value, preparing for the future, and the biggest bucket, which is thesis. I'm going to take you through all of these one by one, and starting with product brand experience. So with product brand experience, we think about a problematic situation in the world, and we think about redesigning or designing the product, brand, and renew the experience around that problem. For example, we do this in groups, and in my group, we were thinking about how might we attain sustainable sleep in economy class seats and flights. We started off with some sketches, we did some research in the market, we thought about branding, refined our sketches, and Then we went into building prototypes, and hopefully you get to try some prototypes with your friends and colleagues as well. Right now, we are at proposing a new comfort system called Below, which is a modular lumbar seat that you can carry on flights with you. This course is led by Rainer Atlason, who has an industrial design studio in New York and who also happens to be the National Design Award winner for 2023. The next course is Design for Public Policy. And this class is where you kind of take a step back from designing and open a dialogue to discuss what's happening in the world and develop an appetite for designing in association with culture, policy, politics, institution, and even the government. And for our class this year, we learned and visualized the current housing structures in New York City and identified different people and channels in the organization chart of New York City. The class ended with us having a debate on whether housing is a right or a luxury. And here you can see my colleagues kind of fighting for it. And though they tried very hard, the winning of my team won. And for winning, we got donuts, handcrafted donuts from. So this class is led by Shanti Matthews and Pilar Finicio. Shanti is the managing director at Public Policy Lab, and Pilar is an executive manager at CUP, which is, oh my God.
It's hard to remember. Center for Urban Pedagogy.
So hard to remember.
It's a mouthful.
But you'll meet her next year. And next we have Design for Social Value. Design for Social Value is a class that focuses on community design, where you talk about values, methods, and frameworks that foster equitable design and how you can do that. This is led by Sloan Leo. Sloan is the co-founder of Flock Studio, and he is actively working in this community for so many years now. We started this class today morning, in fact, and it was very interesting. We got to do some co-creation activities in the class, and we ended class by doing some scribbling on our notes. Next, we have Practicing Professional, and Rachel is here, who was a wonderful professor that we had this year. And so for me, Practicing Professional was like a time machine that takes you ahead into your careers and gives you the tools and skills to better understand what professional practice looks like. We had some guests over the course who kind of taught us about working and co-creating or working with developers from the industry. This was very inspiring for me personally. Rachel, who's here with us, is the co-founder of Human NYC, and she can talk about it more. The next course that we are about to start this week is Leadership Management. This is a course that equips us with the skills like identifying stakeholders and their motivations, teaches us how to negotiate it through a creative lens. We are so excited to start this course. This is taught by Megan Ford. She spoke earlier today. And these are some pictures from last year. Last but not least, we definitely have thesis. Thesis consumes a lot of the third semester and the fourth one, but it starts quite before. It starts before the summer break, where you kind of pick a topic, literally any topic under the sun. It can be something personal to you. It can be something that you're intrigued by, or something that you're completely foreign to but want to learn about and can travel with for the next 1 year. My thesis currently explores the intersection of climate anxiety, disaster resilience, and migration. And I'm working on how it manifests on our minds and bodies. So what thesis does, and in this fall, you are greeted by Alex and Alexia, who are our thesis professors, and they teach research and making. It's a dual approach where you learn thesis and making together. So you're learning about your topic, collecting all the knowledge, and then you're using that knowledge to make stuff. This is a process that keeps going, that iterates over the entire semester, where you're making through research and you're researching what you're making. So an example is, doing my research, I found that disaster preparedness, which is a life skill, is not easily recalled. So I designed a small intervention for doing for my users to remember it easily and design a behavior for easy retention. Last but not the least, there are some personal sweeteners which make this experience very rich for me, which are guest lectures, having external workshops, and our professors bring in some amazing people who are practicing in the real world about what they teach, which make this really enriching for me. Thank you. And here's my email, and you can reach out to me.
Thanks so much, Rohita. If you can just unshare, we are running a little long, so we don't have too much time for a alumni and student panel. So I'm actually have one question for all the alumni and the current students, which is, what would you, sort of knowing then what you know now, for our visitors tonight, what would you really want them to understand for people who are thinking about grad school in their future or checking out different grad school programs? What would you have wanted to know back then that you think might be helpful to visitors here? And if people are comfortable turning on your videos, it's much easier to talk to people when you can see them. Thanks. Just jump right in. John, I can see your head moving.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I would say, well, I mean, if you're here, you're interested in grad school in general. And so I guess my advice would be like after you've gotten into grad school, which would be, like, especially if you come to this program, it's really a space for you to do like whatever you want and explore as deeply as you want. And I think if I could talk to my younger self, I would try to remove any external irrational fears of like, oh, like maybe this is wrong or whatever, and just doing it everything to the max. Because you kind of won't really get another opportunity like this unless you go to some other grads. You keep going to school forever, perpetually. But I mean, coming into the professional world, it's slightly less free of a place for you to kind of really just go crazy on what you're passionate about. And so grad school is the best place to do it. And you learn a lot about yourself, and you can apply that to finding yourself a career that you're really into. But yeah, so I'm not sure that's 100%.
No, I think it's great. The expression parents use is the days are long, but the years are short. And so to really sort of be in the freedom that you have. Emma, you were at Open House last year. What do you think?
Yeah, I will say Open House last year sold me. But even though I was sold, I still debated back and forth in my mind while I was going throughout the process. So one piece of my advice is to trust your gut. I think at least what I experienced looking at design programs is that across all the schools you look at, they're all called something different. They all have like slightly different approaches to design, like philosophies. And so, when you're looking at all of that, it can be kind of hard to like figure out, okay, like what's the right choice, or like where do I align with them? And so when, even though in my mind I was like, it's POD all the way, I was still, maybe doing some comparisons. But I'm really glad that it like really followed what I thought was the best for me, because it turns out it's true.
You got to make POD all the way t-shirts now.
Exactly. I mean, like Tao said, I really related to what she was saying about her experience at the beginning of the semester, where, I mean, I was also coming from a heavily digital environment. And so just craving like being back in a space where I can like make with my hands and be in person and with other creatives. And when people ask me how grad school is going right now, like one of the first few things I say is just like, it's so amazing to be a student again. So if you are coming from, I know it can be a little different if you're coming straight from undergrad, but if you're coming from a break from school, like John said, this is the time to just like, it's very different. Like this is the time where you are your own, like you have your educators, but you're also really leading the way for what you want to get out of the program. So it's the choose your own adventure. We've talked about that in class, and it's amazing.
That's great. Tao, Rohitha, G?
I would just say, since I mentioned I'm from a non-traditional background, like don't let a lack of certain technical skills hold you back from applying. Number one, because it's choose your own adventure, you can solve each problem and create each solution based around your strengths or your classmates' strengths. Like there's never a time where it's like, you can't do it because you don't know this. Like you either get help or you'll take another route. That being said, I think if you are thinking of coming next fall, it doesn't hurt to like develop some skills in areas you're weaker, so you can hit the ground running and just like flex more muscles when you're here. So yes, and is my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I think I would say it's something that we've dabbled upon, but we don't really talk about it much, is that just like the time you're hanging out with your cohort is basically another class. It's something that I think is a real advantageous thing that you don't realize, going into school, but I came to POD without any design background, and I really learned so much that it was like crazy how much I learned in the first semester just by, being with my classmates who some of them were 20 years older than me and had about, 20 years experience, and I've only been alive for 20 years. So it was just great being able to learn from them things that I would never even have imagined that I would need to know going to school. And, you get some shortcuts along the way. And then, some classes, being younger, it would help me. So it's just great being able to spitball with your cohort, and you really get a lot of invaluable knowledge.
I kind of agree with everybody, and I would also like to add that for a lot of international students who are here today, if you feel that there is any way we can help you, just reach out. You can go back into the POD network and reach out to any alum. I'm 100% sure that everybody is going to respond to you unless they are in a place with no signals, but definitely.
It's really true, and thank you for saying that. So many of our students are international students, and the network is really, really incredible. So just click on the student pages, and I agree. Like alumni and students, are very charmed by being contacted by prospective students and really like talking about their experiences. Well, that's great, and I guess that stands now as well. If you met some students or alumni here tonight that you wanted to continue the conversation with, absolutely go for it. We're going to close out tonight with our faculty panel. And I think we still have Megan here, Rachel Yeager, who will introduce ourselves, Chrissy Zanikis, Sinclair Smith is here, and I think Anne actually couldn't make it. I think she's on an airplane. But welcome, faculty, and maybe you could introduce yourselves just for a little bit, who you are and the course that you teach. I'll unshare. And again, if people are comfortable turning on your videos, that would be great. Chrissy, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Chrissy Zanikis. I teach advanced interaction design last quarter. So I am excited. Thank you for the students that I will be meeting soon. I'm excited to work with you. So I teach advanced interaction design. This year it's going to be a hybrid course because I recently had to relocate to LA, but I'll be in person to kick off the first project, well, both of the projects. And I've run through the plan with some former students, and I got some thumbs up, so I'm feeling confident about it. A bit about me. I refer to myself as a digital product designer. I run my own business, specializing specifically in health tech. So I'll share some examples of that for those of you who I'll see in class, but currently focused on severe mental illness, SMI, and then also using AI to building tools to allow AI to help better identify things in pre-screenings like polyps and stuff, which is pretty interesting. And a bit about the class. Since it is thesis go time, the class kind of acts like a shell for everyone's thesis projects. And we do a lot of one-on-ones. I do have guest speakers, but it really is focused on the thesis work.
That's great. Thank you.
Hot potato to the next person.
Sinclair?
Good evening, everybody. And hello, old friends. It's nice to see you lighting things on fire and being safer too. My name is Sinclair Smith. To use Chrissy's phrase, I refer to myself as an industrial designer. While I have done lots of different kinds of design within the larger definition of product design, and I think everyone should read the article that Alan wrote and posted on the site that he just put in the chat. It's good, Alan. I didn't tell you this. I read it and I really liked it. And it's helpful to be reminded of how we recategorize in this age. In the department, I tend to wear, along with Kleiner and a couple of others, an industrial design hat, a three-dimensional product design hat. Some students referred to the first class I teach, which is three-dimensional product design 1, which is sort of an introduction into three-dimensional form and composition, line, plane, volume, proportion, developing a language of how we talk about things, and sculpture, and how sculpture relates to a design, where ultimately in industrial design we're sort of half sculptor, half engineer. Maybe it's third sociologist. Well, anyway, from a physical perspective, sculpture and engineering. And then the next class I teach is newly minted three-dimensional product design 2, form and identity, which is also codenamed MoMA, because MoMA is incorporated into this new spring first year course about exploring why we design things, and how we execute form for different audiences and different sensibilities, and how value works aesthetically and taste works aesthetically, and material culture and semiotics, and why would we choose to make one thing look one way for one audience and another for another. So it's about gaining control over form and audience and communication. And then the third course I teach is three-dimensional product design 3, which is the thesis three-dimensional module in the 4th semester. So for example, Sovix catheter sterilizer came out of that course. I think that was the only, well, I can't remember. We saw a lot of work tonight. So that's the three-dimensional instantiation of the thesis. And then, so right, it's 3 courses now because MoMA's folded into the second. And I'm director of the Visible Futures Lab adjacent to Products of Design, which is lots of fun. And we've got a great staff and lots of tools and robots and traditional hand tools. And it's great to see students from all the MFA programs coming into the VFL to make stuff. I think Julia had, or someone had put the website, I can do it, sva.edu. No, that's VO. Yeah, so it's been an incredible privilege to be at POD since the beginning. I was Alan's student at Pratt, and it's been a wonderful journey by his side, and to work with so many incredible people on so many incredible projects. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It must have felt good to be referenced so many times tonight through the alumni and students. Rachel, you are a brand new teacher and you smiled a lot. I would see you at coffee breaks and after, and I'm like, Rachel, thank you so much. And you're like, thank you, you students. And, I don't know, I think this was a heck of a first experience.
I can't thank you enough still. I'm still reeling. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I'm so grateful for the 7 weeks flew by. I felt like I could have, I was thinking I I don't know if there will ever be a better class. And I don't know if that was just because these were my first students or, yeah, I think you've created a really nurturing, special environment. So I felt like I got to really learn about my own practice and then kind of open source to my students. And I learned a lot from them too. Like even in my first class, I said, okay, you know, how many of us have a resume? And everyone already had portfolio websites up. So they were already very much practicing professionals. So I have a small studio called Human. My students help me QA the website over the 7 weeks. And I think you had mentioned in your intro, but everyone that teaches also being a practicing professional, it was really fun to bring my life, my work into the classroom every week and give like client updates and really bring my class into the fold of what I do career-wise. We do branding, digital design, and development. I'm an account director, project manager. I feel like my class really emphasizes all of the different skills, roles, and potential careers that you could lead once you leave the design program. I also think the class could have been titled soft skills because it's a lot of expectation setting, relationship management, communication. Yeah, just trying to figure out how to work as a contributing team member, but also with clients in the professional field. Bringing in guest speakers was by far my favorite part of teaching. I love my community and I love tapping my network so yeah, I think from a project management perspective to design and development, giving a well-rounded view of what scopes of work and projects really look like. But yeah, looking forward to further refining my syllabus. And I really enjoyed this first foray into teaching. So thank you.
Thank you. And really doubling up in the professional practice realm, because the next course that students take is leadership and strategic management, which is led by Megan Ford, who you met earlier. Welcome back, Megan.
Hi, everyone. Gosh, Rachel, I want to take your class.
No, I was going to say, I really want to take yours. So yeah, excited that we're like bookended.
Totally.
I mean, send your portfolio, like we'll look at it. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Class
Probably
starts on
did.
Friday for me. I can't believe it. Anyways, okay. So Megan Ford, I'm going on 5 years of teaching at POD. I cannot believe it. Somewhere in there, I left New York and I moved down to DC with my family. And so I commute up to New York for work sometimes, but in the fall for POD. I work for Argo Design, which is a product design and strategy firm based out of Austin. And my role is I am head of programs in New York. I really like, I think what Chrissy said, I refer to myself, I was thinking about that. I refer to myself as the business lead in a design world. So I have a background in design and a background in business. And right now I'm really just working on building our business in product design. So what is the course about? Let's see. So leadership and strategic management, it's really evolved over the last few years. But essentially what I've framed it around is all of the things that I wish I had learned in business school for the design world. So in 7 weeks, we pack in, like, what does the creative landscape look like right now? How are organizations structured? How can you have conversations about design with people who really don't understand design? We do a module on negotiation. That's a skill that most people don't hone in on, and it's so critical in your career path. So I really do feel like this class has sort of transformed into a piggyback from Toshi's class, which is the first business course in year 1, to like a 1-2 punch with Rachel's course. So it'll be really interesting to hear how the curriculum is sort of how it evolves and is tailored for the students. I bring in a lot of guest lectures, either folks from Argo or just folks from my network in New York. I think that's probably one of the most valuable things students get out of my class is just meeting so many people in the industry. And I try to bring in people who have all different kinds of roles, like our head of strategy or our head of people. So like HR, just to really give a sense of, how a design firm is run. I bring in somebody in-house to talk about what product management is and how does that relate to product design right now? Because that's like what everybody's talking about right now is the struggle between the two. And so I have so much fun teaching this class. It's the highlight of my year every year. And every summer I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this again? Like I have a 3-month-old baby. I've got a 3-year-old kid running around. I really don't have bandwidth for this, but I keep coming back because it really is just so much fun. I have a blast. We don't do a lot of lectures in class. It's a lot of activities. I make sure that people are up on their feet. And I'm really looking forward to Friday. Gosh, 2 days away. So for folks that have graduated, it's great to see you. G mentioned his Flava Flav model. He was actually in my class and had to ask for an excused absence because he was going to Milan, I believe, for his fashion show. So it's great to see you guys and other students. I'm really, new students, I'm really looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan. Because we're, again, running short on time, we promised to finish before 8:30. I think a question for the faculty, and also alluding to things that have been changing, really quite a bit. Chrissy and Megan were really important in giving advice about this article that I had just had linked to. I think my question for the faculty is, what do you think the next generation of designers need to learn now? Because the interesting thing about grad school, particularly for our guests tonight, is they won't graduate if they come to grad school. They'll graduate in 3 years. Probably we can talk about AI some more, but don't need to now. What do you think the next generation of designers need to learn in school now? And I would say just jump in when you like to.
I could jump in. I feel like learning how to freelance, I feel like it's going to be a freelancers market. Bigger companies and bigger agencies are both getting really comfortable working with the individual. So as larger agencies, I feel like everyone goes into school expecting, oh, I need corporate experience. I need to get hired immediately. But I think the sooner students can actually get comfortable, I think it will be an individual's market. So that would be what I think that my prediction lays there.
Others?
I think the whole notion of AI is going to take away all of these design jobs is just a load of crap. And I think what designers need to do is to get ultra fluent in the tools and leverage them to use them to their advantage. Just like I was just at an AI conference last week and was talking to an attendee about remember when the calculator came out? I mean, no, I'm too young for that. But of course it was what are we going to do? The calculator is taking over. And really, we all had to learn how to use the calculator, right? So I think, figuring out how to leverage tools and not be afraid of them. And then also what Rachel said, soft skills, because robots are not going to be able to replace relationships, at least, building that type of rapport that you have with your colleagues and your clients. So I think those two, that would be my advice.
Great.
I always feel like a broken record, but that's, I guess, because feel like I've been blowing this into the wind for a while, but it's cheesy to say, but the more things change, the more they stay the same, and the more our tools evolve, the more we have to confront what it is to be human. And I really loved what Tao Tao said about her experience in class and in my class, confronting physicality and talking about being physical and being in the body. And the more I do this, the more obsessed I become with being an animal, and how delicate I feel as an animal, and how overwrought I feel our environment is with cerebral engagement and technology. And the more I look at the animals around me and see them kind of hurting a little bit, and with a URT, not an ERD. This device is, there, wow. It's like Back to the Future. I'm disappearing. It's a lot of technology is alienating, and I think designers need to become much more deeply human, or not more, but stay human and not be obsessed and seduced by tools. I think Megan's right that we need fluency and proficiency because they are our tools, but we can't be controlled by them and seduced by them. Sometimes it is a hug that we need, and that is it'd be sad to productize hugs, but I think that day is coming. And we do that sometimes at POD too. We have in an older class design performance, we've done physical experience design with the public where we gave them hugs and they really, 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 really loved it.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for not selling me a chair. Thank you for touching me.
Yeah. Thank you. Christine?
Yeah, I think this is kind of related to what people are saying, but I think being really thoughtful and using strategic thinking to know where to apply what types of design programs or design skill sets. And kind of what I mean by that is that there's a lot of different ways to apply design in a practice. And sometimes, I teach interaction design, but so much of what I do is like saying like, no, we're not doing a UI for that. We're going to use an out of the box skill set. It's just a user management tool. Users aren't going to see it. It's just a backend. We're just going to use that. And we're going to focus on discovery research because these unknowns have way more impact. So I think as you kind of grow as designers, have more of these variety of skill sets, and thinking about how all of these other tools and technologies come to play, being really strategic and thoughtful about what you apply where and why, and explaining. So, and I think that's, what's really magical about this program is it gives you a pretty good foundation to be able to think through having those conversations with yourself and others. You're on mute, Ellen.
Thanks so much. Beautiful thought to close on. Just gonna share my screen one last time. That's strange. Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I did want to invite Julia to say hello and Akshita to say hello, because you will likely be into interacting with them if you're applying to the program. So if you wouldn't mind just saying hello before we close out here.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Julia. I'm the Director of Operations, and I think I've had the opportunity to chat with quite a few of you actually over email. So it's really nice to put a face to our email exchanges, and I hope that we'll be having some more.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Akshita. I'm the Senior Systems Administrator in the department. Yeah, and if you want to reach out, I can share my email in the chat, and I'm happy to chat about the department, about the program, and hopefully we'll see all of you in the near future.
Great. Anastasia is a third member of our team, under the weather and couldn't join us tonight, but I'm sure that you'll be communicating with her. Just a few thoughts to close with. To keep in mind, application deadline, like for all schools, is January 15th. So far away, but coming up. If you're in New York, you definitely want to come by. Subscribe to our newsletter because we have a lot of open to the public events, particularly lecture series. We have extraordinary lectures coming up. Panthea Lee is actually next week, so you can see that on our social media. Definitely follow us on all platforms. But come for a visit. You can even sit in on a class. If you're not in New York, we do teach some courses hybrid, so it would be possible to sit in on a Zoom class. Teachers are very excited when they're visitors. So it is not an imposition. You know, we always let them know and ask sort of, would this be a good class to attend? So please take us up on that. And then, of course, if you're here and you're visiting, hanging out with students, having lunch, just, you know, looking at the work on their desk and just being around. I think that that's probably the best way to get a sense of any program that you might be looking at, is just try and visit it. Our doors are so open. We have another one of these events coming up on December 9th. We're going to be part of a combined open house, open studios, where a half a dozen of the graduate programs at SVA are going to combine and open their doors, all basically in the same 2 buildings. So I think that that's going to be amazing. Again, it'll be in our newsletter and on our social media, so check that out. And if you're interested in something that Tao Tao said, if you're worried about your portfolio or not sure, we do really welcome students who don't have design backgrounds, design practice, or formal design education. And if you would like us to take a look at your portfolio sort of before you apply, we love to do that. We want you to have the strongest application possible. And I know that the portfolio is something people worry about because different departments have different sort of expectations of the portfolio. I will tell you plainly that we are looking for the whole person. We are not just judging your design projects or your hands. So you can be really creative with your portfolio, have hobbies, have different kinds of projects, volunteering, anything that you're interested in doing. But if you want to be more sort of specific about it, reach out. We're happy to have a Zoom. You could screen share anything you like. Huge appreciation for your time. We are at 1 hour and 59 minutes, pretty good. Thank you so much to our staff, alumni, faculty, and current students. I even see a couple of students who were here who weren't presenting today, so that's really nice that they were able to stop by. And again, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter and stay in touch, and wishing everybody a great Wednesday night and a good rest of the week. Thank you.